So today, really, I just wanted to, with my European United Nations SDGs pin on today, I wanted to kind of share a few tips about sustainable Christmas. You see, I have the Advent calendar, which is refillable up there, just in the background. I think you can see it, I hope. And we're just going to go through a few tips on that. So we're just going to carry on a little bit and talk about a few things. I think we've got a few more people joining in, which is great. So today we're going to cover the principle of the 5 R's. Now, this is all to do with the waste hierarchy. Sounds terribly boring. Yawn, yawn. But it's basically about how to reduce your waste at Christmas. And we're going to be applying that to gifts, wrapping, decorations, food and entertaining. So it's a really good idea if you just familiarize yourself with the 5 R's, and they will help you to reduce your waste this Christmas. So the 5 R's. The 5 R's are refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, rot. So these are the principles that ideally you apply to anything that you're going to buy, basically, or you're going to do. So think about 1, refusing it, not having it in the first place. And this goes for the workplace as well. So if you have suppliers coming in, they're giving you lots of stuff wrapped in plastic, think about saying, no, how can we not have that plastic? Thank you very much, that we have to dispose of in the first place. And the same goes with, at home. We don't want to have all this stuff that we have to, jam down the recyclable bin at Christmas, small children jumping on it to make it smaller so you can fit it all in over the 2 weeks. You really want to think about minimizing that. And then reducing. So, can you get less wrapping? Can you do less things like that? And then reusing, can you reuse jam jars? And actually we're going to make some beautiful frosted tea lights next week in our craft along. And then recycle. So that's key, I suppose, over the Christmas break, that we just think about recycling, using recycling, and even aluminium foil, as long as it's clean, scrunched up, put into a ball, that can go into the recycling. So it's just all those kinds of things. And then finally, rot. Very important that if you can buy natural things that will rot down eventually, then do that. So if you can buy a t-shirt that's fully made of cotton rather than polyester, then obviously that would be brilliant, because eventually at the end of its life, after it's become a rag, it will probably end up rotting down. So first quiz question for everybody today. Oh, look at some fun. Oh, I love so I love the little footprints. I haven't seen those before. There's some really cool icons. Okay, so the question is, which type of gift is the most unwanted? This was a recent survey done across the UK and Ireland. Which gift is the most unwanted? Is it fragrances and cosmetics, clothes and accessories, or household items like pots and pans or those kind of things? What do you think is the least wanted gift? Interesting. So the right answer is actually clothes and accessories. So think of like that Christmas jumper that you gave Uncle John, and he maybe wore once just to make you happy, and he's never ever going to wear it again, and it's gone to charity. Well, we hope so anyway. So this study that was done said that in the UK there's something like 42 million pounds worth of gifts that go unwanted, that either end up in charity shops or just end up in the bin. Some people just put the presents they don't want in the bin, which I find absolutely shocking. So yeah, and clothes accessories was the main one, but these are the top 3 basically. So something to think about when buying for people. Do you actually need to buy for them? Can you give them something else? This brings us nicely onto gifts. So when you're thinking about gifts, you use these 5 R's. So in the first place, with gifts, think about refusing. So we've all been around to someone's house, and if you've got kids, or even if you haven't, people are like, oh, sure, take a selection box. I'm like, no. Nobody needs that selection box. I don't need it on my hips, I can tell you, let alone anywhere else. It's plastic, it's paper, the chocolate is not fair trade. I mean, there's a whole rake of stuff. So try, if you can, avoid having that pile of selection boxes waiting for your visitors when they call. they won't thank you for it. And especially not with kids, they prefer, you know, that you don't give them extra chocolate, etc. And then refuse plastic gifts. So think about, you know, can you say to somebody, actually, you know, I don't want my child to have X, Y, and Z, or I'd really love this, or, you know, give people a little bit of direction. And then next, reduce. So Chris Kindle, I suppose we call it here, Secret Santa, whatever you want to call it. But it's something that we only started this in my family a couple of years ago. Actually, we had a tradition of everyone gave something to everyone else, and then, you know, you have more money. But this way, if you do Chris Kindle, the person gets a much better present probably for the money, and you just pick out of the hat who's going to give to who, and organize it that way. And then reuse. So I've put gifting is regifting is acceptable. So that means that, you know, you get something like a candle, or, you know, it comes in its original box, or you get a box of chocolates. My mother-in-law is unlucky enough to have her birthday on Christmas Eve, and she does sometimes end up with probably good few more chocolates from us than she would like, because by then we've already been given chocolates and things from other people. So just think about what you might, or lovely candles, actually. Candles are a lovely gift, but often I get given too many and I just don't use them. So sometimes they end up get given to somebody else. Then recycling. So make sure your cards, tags and bags are that don't have glitter on them, they don't have plastic on them. Ideally they're made of you know, something that is either that's already been recycled, it's recycled paper, or something that can just go straight into the recycling bin. And also think about maybe for next year holding back your bags and tags. I have a whole box full of bags, tags, paper that gets reused every year pretty much. And then finally, rot. So think natural. Is it something that you can buy for somebody, like I said before? Is it a cotton t-shirt? Could it be food? Could it be something that will eventually rot down? Could it be a natural gift? So think of nature, basically. And then finally, I've put there, give the gift of time. So instead of giving people things that they maybe don't necessarily want or need, think about giving them the gift of time. So I'm sure, to go back to poor Uncle John, he would prefer that you call round, or in this case, that you Zoom him maybe, or WhatsApp or FaceTime or whatever, more than he would prefer that pair of socks. Especially this year, I think. What people really want is your time, and they want to feel loved and appreciated. We're all feeling zoomed out, we're all feeling particularly tired, and I think people would really appreciate just a smile and a hello. Or can you do, you know, a couple of hours in the garden? Could you, you know, give somebody the gift of baking, that they don't have to make it? All those kind of things. So just think about those things when it comes to presents. So let's see now. Question 3 of 6 is, let's see if I can remember what it's all about. Okay, 1 ton of recycled paper can save how many trees? So how many trees can be saved? Is it 17, 25 or 30? How many trees does 1 ton of recycled paper save? Let's see. Now, time's up. Let's see. Okay. Yes. So it's actually, yes, quite a lot of trees. So we need to be thinking about that when we are using recycled paper. So if you don't use recycled paper yet already in the office, then certainly do that. Let's see. So, okay, Claire is the fastest. Well done, Claire. Brilliant. I love these names, and I love I love the goat. Oh, they're so brilliant. Some of these icons are really cool. Okay, so moving on, that brings us to wrapping. So I know quite a few people who just don't wrap their presents. Yes, even Santa apparently doesn't wrap presents. Now in our house, Santa does wrap presents, because we feel that it's quite difficult to put it all in the stocking without that. But it's very important, I think, for people, whatever their traditions are, to try and, you know, carry those on. So It might be that, you know, you can pick recycled paper, or, you know, this year does Santa wrap in newspaper, you know, something that just every little bit helps. So try and avoid the glitter or metallic. Glitter is an absolute shocker. It's basically, if you think about it, glitter is a microplastic. So it's already in microplastic form. It's, I know it's come out of quite a lot of things. I know John Lewis and Asda, Waitrose in the UK, and I think Tesco said they were going to do it this year by the end of 2020 to eliminate glitter. You can actually get, you can get biodegradable glitter. I think Pat in Reusey has it, and Jiminy as well. There's a couple of shops. But ideally, you just avoid it altogether, because it's just a terror. And what it does is it really clogs up the machinery. So when the cards and the wrap and everything goes into the recycling machine, the glitter clogs up all those little tiny little cogs and things, and just causes the whole thing to break down. So it breaks. It wreaks absolute havoc with all of those things. So reuse, unwrap carefully and use again. Now I know you're all going, oh my God, can't you be serious? No, I am. I'm totally serious. So obviously if you're an adult and you're not like ripping it off, and you're like a child who's going, yay, I've just got whatever it is for Christmas and I'm just, you know, peeling it off. But, you know, there is, if you're an adult, you know, you can just unwrap it. And then I find, again, I've got a whole stash of flattened paper that I just use again, either for cards or for tags, or I just use it again, basically. And then recycle. So I can never pronounce this word, but I'm going to have a good go. It's furoshiki. Anyway, it's Japanese, right? And what it is it means that you can wrap your presents. Let's say you want to give somebody a gift of a candle. Let's go back to our candle. And you wrap it in a scarf. And there are plenty of YouTube videos about this online, but it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And then you can give them the scarf as well. So they get two presents for the price of one, and the wrapping is already done for you. So that's absolutely brilliant. And then the other one is newspaper. Now I haven't got an example here, but I will next week for our craft along. Newspaper is brilliant, and you can have so much fun with this. If you find any newspaper in the coming days of anything to do with, you know, Trump or, you know, football teams, you can get, you know, really creative, and you can get your kids involved. Mine had great fun with doing this before, in terms of wrapping and picking out like extra little slogans and things that happened during the year. You could have COVID or COVID-free wrapping, whatever it might be. So just think about that when it comes to wrapping. So I'm just going to play you a little video about wrapping, because I think it's really important that people know when something is recyclable and when it isn't. So brilliant and so short. So basically what that means is when the paper is scrunched up, it will recycle quite happily, but when it springs back like that, no, that means it's got plastic in it, and you have to put it in the black bin and basically has to go into landfill. So that's the recycle. I'm sure people have heard of that, the scrunch test, but I just thought that video is brilliant at illustrating it. So, okay, next question. Let's see how we are doing on the leaderboard. Which type of tree is better for the environment? Is it a real tree that has been grown locally, or a plastic tree that you've had in your family that you've used for years and years and years, and more than 15 times, and so the carbon footprint is a lot less? What do we think? Oh, okay, interesting. So yes, it's a real tree grown locally. So I know lots of people have seen, there's been lots of studies done on this about the carbon footprint of trees, but the most recent one came out and said that because the real tree, so long as it's grown locally, and so long as it is recycled properly, i.e. either you send it to the council and it gets chipped up and made into mulch, or it ends up, even if it ends up being burnt, actually, is actually 10 times more efficient than if it ends up in landfill, then it is much more carbon friendly than a plastic tree. So yeah, the studies that they didn't really take into account the whole life cycle of the tree, and the fact that trees grown locally are obviously going to suck up a huge amount of carbon dioxide, which is brilliant because everybody knows we need to plant more trees to combat all the things that are going on at the moment in the world. So it's very important maybe just to think about that in terms of, you know, if you're using if you've already got a fake tree and you've been using it for years, then, you know, don't rush out and buy a real tree just because that's not going to be very environmentally friendly. My in-laws have had a tree that they've used for years and years and years, and it's just brilliant. They just unwrap it, the whole thing just comes all adorned, and they just plug it in and away they go. It's brilliant. But otherwise, maybe just make sure that wherever you get your tree from, that it has been grown locally. That's the key thing, because certainly I think we still get them imported. Some places do, like the Nordic fir comes from Norway. Some of them are actually cut down in like August, and then they're cold stored until they get to us. And obviously they are coming over by shipping and all that kind of stuff, which is just crazy. So if you're very lucky enough to go and find somewhere that they have been cut down, please go and do that. Moving on to decorations and thinking about trees and things like that. So refuse. This is, I don't know if you have anybody in your family who does this. I used to have an auntie who did this. Every year she'd have a different theme for Christmas, and she'd go and buy all new decorations and everything. And to be honest, I don't have the time for that. Yeah, I kind of love to, but yeah, we have the same tree. We have two little trees actually, but we get a tree and we decorate it with the same things for the last, I don't know, however many years. So try not to buy anything new, just repurpose what you have, and maybe think about, you know, decorating your tree in a slightly different way. And think about simplicity. If we look at all those beautiful, you know, Nordic, you know, hygge, the word that they use for like cozy and stuff, the beautiful trees and decorations, they're very minimalist. And a lot of them only have, you know, different combinations of 2 or 3 things. And you see, like I have, there's a pine cone up there, and I have a knitted Santa, if you can see that. So all those things. Oh, actually, here, look, decor. I'm going to put that up to the camera. Do you see that? So this is a beautiful, I think this is so cute, little knitted Christmas tree with reused, now I didn't do it, I'm just, yeah, I might be crafty, but like, yeah, no. So think about those kind of things in terms of, you know, simplicity, and something that, you know, it's made of wool. Yes, it's got a few beads on it, but they can be repurposed. So think about reusing. So we talk about LEDs, fixing broken lights. You know, it's not that difficult actually. Well, it depends on your household and how handy your household is, but it's quite easy. Lots of YouTube tutorials on how to fix that one light if it's broken, so that the whole chain works again. Obviously, if you've still got old lights, try and, you know, as they get broken and need replacing, switch to LEDs. LEDs are just amazing. They save so much energy. They will save you money. You'll use a lot less electricity. They don't get hot. All of those good things. And then just in terms of, you know, your actual decorations, if you're bored of your decorations, I get it. So think about where you can get new ones from. And actually right now is a great time when the charity shops open, fingers crossed, next week. Go to a charity shop and see what they have on offer in terms of Christmas decorations. You will be surprised what you can pick up. Or think about, you know, swapping with a friend, you know, or another family. What do you have on your tree, etc. And then think about natural. So I've talked about this before, and probably banged on about it a little bit too much, but you know, think about pine cones, think about wool, think about paper. On our tree, we have accumulated a whole load of beautiful decorations that our children have made since they were in junior infants, and they come out every year and they love it. They love it. Oh, remember when I made this and I was so small, and remember when I did this, and it's brilliant. We still have them, and we pack them all back into the same box every year. But it's great because it brings memories. We even pack away all our Christmas pictures, like when we went to see Santa and things like that, and then we bring them out at Christmas, because I think it's so important to share memories and time as opposed to things. And yes, they're always going to want the thing that's about for Christmas, but maybe you don't have to get them everything. Sounds like my poor children are totally denied, but that's not true. So let's see, how are we doing for time? Okay, not too bad actually. Let's move on to the next question, which is all about, she says, it's coming, all about food waste. So how much more food waste do we waste over the Christmas break? Okay. Now, I have a feeling that Menti might have played a little trick on me here because I changed some slides, but what do you think is the percentage of extra food waste that we waste every year? Let's see what it's going to say. Yes, you're all right. And actually, it was fine. So yes, horrific, absolutely horrific, 50% extra food waste. I'm just going to give you a little stat here that I got from talking to somebody who'd visited the lovely Food Cloud and all the work that they do. They told me that last year, one lorry load came in from a supermarket, which was filled with 10,000 turkeys that we didn't buy, we didn't eat. Now, that's not your fault, but it's just an incredible stat that just makes me think, you know, you see all these things, little and Audi, oh, deluxe this, beautiful that. And you think, oh, I must have the latest salted caramel, whatever it is. And I'm not saying, you know, Christmas is totally the time for doing, you know, those kind of luxury things, but will you eat it? Just make sure that you eat stuff in order in the fridge so that things don't go to waste, because otherwise it ends up, if it ends up in landfill, it's going to be much, much worse for the environment. Onto the topic of food. I've just talked about those brochures. I look at them myself, and even Aldi have gone all out this year, and theirs is printed, you know, it's vegetable inks, it's printed on recycled paper, all that kind of stuff, but it's still promoting extra stuff we don't need. So I have a problem with that. But just maybe think about, you know, what you do need. And obviously this year, we don't know who's coming for Christmas. We don't know who we can have. We don't know how many people are going to come. Like, we can't start planning anything. So don't go buying anything until we need to. So what else can you do? Reduce, you know, only buy what you need, and then think organic and local. So if you can, you know, please, you know, buy from farmers markets, which hopefully will be on. All those kind of things really do help the local economy. That helps us. It's very important to obviously support local. I think everybody knows that. And then just look, if we are allowed to have more than 2 people over for Christmas dinner, ask somebody, can they bring something? There's no need to have to do it all. Can somebody bring the carrots already chopped? Can somebody bring the pudding? Can somebody bring, I don't know, the Brussels sprouts if you're having them? Try and, you know, manage your workload as well at Christmas time, you know. And then reuse. The freezer is your friend. I think if you've sat with me and done any of these webinars before, you know about my freezing habits, which are pretty scary. I freeze everything. So think about, you've got lots of turkey on Stephen's Day, and you don't know, you know, you've overestimated, we don't know how many people we could have had, and then so-and-so didn't want to come because she was worried about the situation, and then you're left with this huge turkey and only 4 people. Can you freeze portions of turkey, pour gravy over them, and put them in the freezer? and then you can use them for a midweek supper at another time. Or can you freeze your bread? Bread is brilliant frozen and toasted. Just shove it in the freezer, take it out slices when you need it. It's just amazing. And then can you recycle stuff? So this is where, you know, your relatives have gone home or they didn't come. They just said, you know what, I don't want to take that chance. I'm not coming this year. Fine. So deliver a food parcel to them. Like I have been doing this with my in-laws. We normally have them round for Sunday dinner, and I just make a little bit extra and I've been delivering it to them. It's all about supporting other people who are less fortunate than us at this particular time. And maybe, you know, they can't afford to do it, they don't want to do it, they don't have the time, and or give to a local food kitchen, soup kitchen. So Food Cloud donations are up this year hugely, but also the charities that need them have been asking for more, which I find even more scary. So think about, you know, is there some way you could buddy up with somebody on that? And then rot. So compost everything else that you know, you can't reuse. So that's peelings, bread, and then cooked and uncooked meat can all go in your brown bin. Now, if you live in an apartment and you don't have access to a brown bin, there are a couple of ways to get around this problem. Because if you put your food waste into your black bin, it is going to create more emissions than if you put it in the compost. And in fact, it's not going to create CO2, it's going to create methane, which is 25 times more powerful than CO2 as a gas. So that's why food waste is in the top 3 things of what we can do about climate change. So at Christmas, given that we're set to waste 50% more, then we really need to be thinking about what we can do about that. So if you live in an apartment, sorry, just to go back a step, there are a couple of things you can do. One is to visit your local allotment and see, will they take, you know, the peelings? They probably won't take food waste because that attracts vermin, but they probably will take your peelings. So just ask anybody you know who does gardening or anybody into that kind of thing. Or you can look at share waste. Now, share waste was set up by an Australian, and we actually have them dotted all over the country, and they're in Ireland and the UK. And it just means that you can log on, see who will take your compostable waste, because I know a lot of people in apartments just don't have access to that. So moving on, where are we? Okay, we've got a few minutes left. But the last question was related to entertaining. And that was all about Christmas crackers. So I have some Christmas crackers here because we are going to make Christmas crackers next week. And here is one I made earlier. It's a bit like Blue Peter. This is made with some recycled newspaper. But how many Christmas crackers do you think we use in Ireland a year? Like, it's ferocious, really. It's actually 15 million crackers. 15 million in a population of what, less than 5. So I don't know how many crackers that is for every one person, but it's too many. So let's think about either not having crackers or not having so many, or reusing crackers. Actually, there's a reusable cracker that you can get as well. So on the entertaining front, think about refusing and being selective. So ordinarily, when I talk about this, I mean, don't go to everything because you get invited to things and you can't do it all and you're running around like a headless chicken and you just don't need to go to everything that's on offer. But this year, I mean, be more selective. So I mean, think about, you know, refusing those things that you just don't need, as we talked about before, in terms of, you know, the canapes and all the extra bits. You know, just think about how many people you have coming and, you know, what's important. Reduce. So we talked about food waste. We haven't talked about going vegetarian, but yes, if you can cut down your meat consumption at Christmas, that will really help. Those who know me well will know all the stats there are about, obviously, meat consumption. And hands up, in this house, we are flexitarian. I still eat a tiny bit of meat, probably less than the rest of the family, but I do still eat it. It is up there with the things that we can do about climate change. It really is. So think about maybe, and even for your health, think about, because it's all these links of processed meat to diseases that we don't like. So think about, can we reduce that? Then reuse. So no single use. And again, this comes back to potentially COVID and making sure that we're clean and everything's working well, is, you know, just use your regular crockery. Don't think about having disposables. Much better to do that. And then recycle. So if you're still doing Secret Santa this year with work, think about making the challenge that Secret Santa has to be from a charity shop. Don't go and buy something new from, you know, I'm not going to name them, but from shops that sell that kind of tat. So, you know, you're doing something funny, you want to make a funny joke or whatever. I have brought some absolutely cracking stuff from charity shops, and cost me a lot less, and you can challenge everybody to only spend a £5. It's brilliant. And then finally, compost food waste. We talked about that just now, but it really, really is super important to cut down on your food waste, particularly at Christmas. So let's see, after I have yapped on at you for nearly 40 minutes, what one change will you make over the festive season? Can you think of something that, you know, that I've just said that you will think, actually, do you know what? I'm not going to, I don't know, I'm going to have less meat. I'm going to, yeah, Furokoshiki wrap, exactly. Have a look in a charity shop. No crackers. Brilliant. Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, wrap things in scarves. Yes, make your own Christmas crackers. Yes, next week we will show you how to make these beautiful Christmas crackers. Look at this. Christmas crackers, your own Christmas crackers are amazing, right? Because you can put in, so last year I went to town, we made our own Christmas hats, and we had all of the silly Trump malarkey. We cut out loads of funny things, and everybody had their own individual hat, and we made like, we put mini gins in them, and we went to town, so it was brilliant. Time gifts, exactly. Experiences, brilliant. Okay, so look into share waste. Yes, do that, definitely. I think it's sharewaste.com, and then you just go on to which country you're in, etc. So that is fantastic, guys. Really, really impressed with that. And finally, let me leave you with the 5 R's are part of the waste hierarchy, right? They're not my things, but these are my thoughts for Christmas and how to, you know, let's make climate change work for us, not what we can do for it. It's the other way around. It's like, what else can this, the way of doing things, do for us? So number one is simplify. So pare back, think less is more in terms of food, in terms of decorating. Take a list, you know, a leaf out of the Scandi book and do things, you know, simple. And then slow down. I mean, I think at least this year we won't be going, there won't be an office Christmas party. It'll be online. There won't be so many outings. I mean, we really hope that we do get out for a few little drinkies in the next 4 weeks. If only to get us out of the house. Do I look like the person who's been cooped up? Yes. But just think about, don't go crazy. Just think about, you know, pick the people you want to spend time with, and then savor. So this is about when we do have that time off and when nobody is looking for us over the festive break, then take that time to go out in nature, kick up the leaves, you know, smell the air, you know, just take time. And then the fourth one is support. So I really want you to think about, you know, generosity and random acts of kindness. I listened to a brilliant podcast during the week that said, if you are kind to one person every day, the ripple effect of that means that, you know, you're talking, it's a bit like COVID, right? Once you've realized the multiples of these things, how it goes on to affect other people. So support other people. What can you do to help the rest of your family during this time? And then above all, stay present. And I suppose if you're a yogi, you know all about this, but it really is about staying in the moment, just enjoying the fact that we're here. And if we don't have our loved ones who, you know, we have lost over the year, let's think about those. Let's think about what we can do to just be in the moment and enjoy the fact that we are having a special time.